If you are constantly avoiding cleaning and tidying up, you need to stop and think. When you're experiencing narcissistic abuse, it's easy to let clutter build up because your mind is already tangled in feelings of guilt, confusion, or even fear. After all, when you've spent so much time dealing with someone else's chaos, it can be hard to muster the energy to tackle your own space. Today, we'll explore why victims of narcissistic abuse often shy away from cleaning and organizing. So if you're ready to break the cycle and create a more peaceful environment for yourself, let's dive in. Are you ready for number 1? Unrealistic expectations. Many victims of narcissistic abuse struggle with staring at a messy room, feeling like they have to tackle the entire mountain of chaos in one go. They think they need to clean everything perfectly or not at all, leaving them feeling paralyzed. As life coach Mel Robbins says, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Listen carefully. Instead of aiming for a spotless house in one sweep, try breaking it down into smaller, manageable tasks. Just start with one corner or one room at a time, and remember that progress is more important than perfection. Let's talk about number 2. Lack of support. Victims of narcissistic abuse often feel like they're left in chaos with no one to help. It can make even the simplest tidying up seem like a heavy task. It's like being asked to assemble IKEA furniture without the instructions, frustrating and confusing. Dr. Ann Brown says, you don't have to do it all by yourself. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Remember this, finding even one person to help or just talk to can make a huge difference. Whether it's a friend or a support group, having someone by your side can lighten the load and motivate you to take those small steps toward a tidier space. Let's move on to number 3. Misplaced priorities. When you're dealing with the aftermath of narcissistic abuse, it's easy to put your emotional needs first and forget about the practical stuff, like cleaning. You might feel like tackling your feelings is more important than tidying up your space, and that's totally okay. As psychologist Dr. Judith Orloff says, self-care is not selfish, it's essential. Taking the time to process your emotions is important, but remember, a messy environment can also weigh you down emotionally. Let me teach you something. Start with small tasks when you feel up to them. Just a few minutes of cleaning can help create a more peaceful space. It makes it easier for you to focus on your emotional healing too. Now let's continue to number 4. Feeling overwhelmed by belongings. When you have too much stuff around you, it can feel like your mind is just as cluttered, and that's totally normal. If you're a victim of narcissistic abuse, all those belongings can create a mental block that makes it hard to even think about cleaning. As Marie Kondo, the queen of tidying up, says, the objective of cleaning is not just to clean, but to feel happiness living within that environment. But when you're overwhelmed, that happiness is about as easy to find as a matching sock in that pile. To make it easier, start with a drawer or a shelf, and as you clear things out, you might find it helps clear your mind too. You shouldn't miss number 5. Emotional triggers. When you're a victim of narcissistic abuse, some of your belongings can act like emotional landmines, triggering memories of past trauma. Seeing a certain item might suddenly bring back feelings you'd rather avoid, making cleaning feel impossible. As trauma expert Dr. Bessel van der Kolk says, the body keeps the score, meaning those memories are stored in your body and can come rushing back with the wrong object. As a result, you might find yourself avoiding cleaning altogether. Consider this tip. Start by focusing on items that feel safe or neutral for you. Little by little, you can create a space that feels comfortable without being overwhelmed by the past. Are you still up for number 6? Inconsistent routines. If you've been through narcissistic abuse, you might notice that your cleaning routines can feel all over the place. It makes it tough to build healthy habits. One day you might clean like a champ, and the next you might just want to bury yourself under a pile of laundry. As habits expert James Clear puts it, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. It means that without a consistent routine, it's hard to make cleaning feel like a regular part of your life. Try starting small, like setting a timer for just 5 minutes to tidy up one area. By making it a little daily habit, you'll find it easier to establish a routine that works for you over time. Let's keep it moving to number 7. Perceived futility. If you've been a victim of narcissistic abuse, you might feel like cleaning is just a waste of time because you believe it won't make a difference in the long run. You might think, well, why bother? It'll just get messy again. That feeling is called perceived futility, and it can sap your motivation. Sometimes just starting with small tasks can help shift that mindset. When you see even a little bit of progress, it can show you that change is possible, even if it feels slow. So maybe pick one spot to clean today, just one. You might be surprised at how good it feels to create even a tiny change in your space. Here comes number 8. Reduced self-worth due to trauma. When you've experienced narcissistic abuse, it can hurt your self-worth, making it hard to feel motivated to take care of yourself, even when it comes to cleaning. As therapist Brené Brown says, you are imperfect, you are wired for struggle, but you are also worthy of love and belonging. Remember, self-care isn't just about cleaning. It's about recognizing that you deserve a healthy and happy space. Let me give you some friendly advice. Little actions can help you reclaim that sense of worth. Remember this, you matter and deserve to live in a place that feels good for you. Moving on to number 9, fear of taking ownership. Many victims shy away from cleaning up after experiencing narcissistic abuse because it feels like a huge responsibility. Cleaning means you're taking ownership of your space, and that can be intimidating when you've been in a situation where your feelings and boundaries were constantly undermined. As Dr. Judith Orloff, a psychiatrist, says, healing from emotional trauma requires reclaiming your space and your sense of self. So it's not just about dust and clutter, it's about stepping back into your power, which can be a big deal. Finally, we're down to number 10. Social comparison. It's pretty common for people who've gone through narcissistic abuse to avoid cleaning because they can't help but compare themselves to others. When you look at someone else's perfectly tidy home, it can make you feel like you're falling short. As life coach Marie Forleo puts it, comparison is the thief of joy. So instead of feeling motivated to clean, you might end up feeling overwhelmed and inadequate. This comparison trap can keep you stuck, making it even harder to take that first step toward tidying up your space and reclaiming your sense of home. Listen carefully. To overcome this, focus on your progress and set personal goals that celebrate small achievements rather than measuring yourself against others. So to wrap things up, it's easy to see why victims of narcissistic abuse might steer clear of cleaning and tidying up. The emotional toll can make even simple tasks feel overwhelming. When your mind is filled with anxiety, self-doubt, or the fear of criticism, it's no surprise that cleaning gets pushed aside. But here's a little encouragement. Recognizing this struggle is the first step toward healing. It's okay to take things slow and focus on small wins. Remember, creating a space that feels safe and calm can really help your mental health. Little by little, you can find your way back to a more organized life at your own pace.